So today we're talking on the Rock and Roll Ghost podcast with Ivan Neville. I mean, from the Neville family. I mean, if you don't know who the Nevilles are, then God help you. Uh, he's out promoting the new Dumpstaphunk album. Where do we go from here? Is the title correct?
Yes, yeah. That's what it is.
For some reason, I thought I had that backwards, but that just came out on April 23rd. And we're going to talk about that, some other stuff. How you doing today, Ivan?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. It's I don't know how to put it into words without sounding foolish, but I feel very very happy to be talking to you for
that's cool.
For many reasons. I've been a fan of your families, and then it's funny that as I was kind of becoming a fan of your dad's and your uncle's band, I was really getting into them, and then all of a sudden you kind of came out with Keith, and then album, and it's like I was always under the impression we were about the same age, but you're actually about a decade older than I am, because I thought you were just like this young we were young, but I just thought way young, because I just realized that your age and that you were around for the Wild Chapatula sessions.
Yeah.
Teenager, so like you just looked way younger than, I guess, because you were in Keith's band. Everybody was a little bit older. So you're the young guy.
Well, fortunately, I look pretty young coming up. Hopefully, I still look kind of young.
Yeah. No, you do.
Yeah, people thought I was a lot younger than I was. Like most people, when they saw me during those early days with the brothers, and then with Keith later on, they thought, like when I was with Keith, I was close to 30. People thought I was maybe almost 20 or 21, 22 at best. I was close to 30 during those times.
Yeah.
That was that first Expensive Winos, the first Keith Richards solo album that I did. That was in 1988.
Yeah,
and I was maybe 20.
I remember buying that one in the Keith solo albums. I love too, and I got to see you play with him.
Yeah.
90. God, I want to say 92, maybe 93.
There was the set. We did the second tour. We did another tour for the Main Offender record.
Yeah.
That was in 92, 93, somewhere over there.
Yeah. You played the Aragon and the Soul Asylum open for you, and I was really big into
Aragon. What is that, Chicago? The Aragon? Yeah.
Chicago.
I remember that. Yeah. Dude, you know what I remember about that gig? That was the funniest. No, you know what? I'm thinking of another place. Possibly the Aragon. It was packed. That room was packed.
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy that was a true fan. He really impressed me as this guy is a music fan. He had one of those, the what they call that, the halo kind of casting things that goes from your shoulders and it goes around your head.
For what, like a car accident?
Like he had a neck back injury or something where he had the whole thing. He was in the middle of the crowd, dude, like in the front. And I was like, damn, how does he, if somebody moved him either way, the wrong way or something, he's in the middle of that crowd, how's he going to maneuver? He made it through. I spotted him. I'm like, geez, this guy is dedicated to rock and roll. He should have been at home somewhere recuperating. He had this whole stuff. I'm like, oh my.
He was going to miss that. It turns out that was the last time Keith toured as a solo artist.
He was not going to miss that one, I tell you.
Yeah, that was a big thrill, because that's the closest I've come to seeing the Stones.
Right.
And I just as a fan of his and you guys in that band were insane. I mean, Steve and Waddy and
band.
Yeah, and the bass player, I'm forgetting his name.
It was Drayton, Charlie Drayton.
Charlie Drayton, right? Yeah,
but I think part of maybe that tour, because I think Charlie had left the band at a point, And there's another guy that played, his name was Jerome Smith. He came in, he was Charlie and Steve's buddy, a friend of theirs, and he came in and played bass for that last tour. But Charlie Drayton was the guy. He was the guy that played on those records. And that was the true, he was the original Expensive Wino along with the rest of us with Keith.
Yeah, I watched
some fun times.
I watched like you guys on Saturday Night Live, like, you know, YouTube clips and stuff recently.
Right.
Man, that was a tight band.
You know what? You know what's funny about that Saturday Night Live performance is that was our first live performance. Our first live gig was on Saturday Night Live. We hadn't been on the road tightening it up and all that stuff. That was our first live performance in front of an audience, was on Saturday Night Live.
Well, I mean, you guys were all, I mean, come on, he hired pretty much, you know, the best. I mean, I don't think you get better than Steve Jordan, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, that band is pretty much you know. I ain't gonna toot my own horn but then that group, I'm biased because that band is one of my favorite things that I ever had have been a part of in my entire musical career, playing in that group with Waddy, Jordan. Charlie Drayton, Keith, that was some fun stuff. Bobby Keys.
Oh, Bobby was on with you too, huh?
He played saxophone on the end. Sarah Dash was singing.
Okay.
With us,
Was she on the tours too?
Sarah Dash, she sang on some stuff on the record, as well.
Yeah, because then because you guys did I think it was Gimme Shelter.
Gimme Shelter, yes, we did.
As a closer. And,
we did that on that tour. We did put Gimme Shelter in the set.
Yeah, she really it sounded just like the album.
She was pretty good. She was amazing. Sarah Dash.
Yeah.
You know where she comes? She's from. She used to sing with LaBelle.
Okay.
Patti LaBelle's group.
Yeah. It's amazing when you dig deep into, you know, liner notes or whatever you do nowadays, looking up on the internet, which is oddly harder it's easy. Like IMDb's got it all figured out for actors and, you know, movie people and TV stuff, but there isn't the same thing for music. I mean, there's all music, but honestly, I don't think that thing's being run the same way.
Yeah, and there's some stuff on Wikipedia that some of it's close to maybe accurate. Yeah. Some of it is, because I've seen stuff, you know, I've seen credits that are pretty close on Wikipedia, but you gotta kind of tweak it. Like you gotta go and you gotta look for personnel and song track listings and stuff like that. But that's why Dumpstaphunk, we're fortunate that we got the album, the LP, and, you know, with the artwork, and that's the way to go. And you want to buy that stuff so you can read the credits, because that was one of the things we did coming up when you know, in the 70s, you know, when we were like teenagers listening to albums, you would sit and listen to the record and you would read the credits. You know, you would read and see who was playing on these records. And, you know, being an aspiring musician, that was important stuff to know. Who were these people that were making these amazing sounds that you were digging on, and that would come to influence what you were to do later on, you know?
Right.
Little did we know, you know, we were doing our homework back then.
Yeah, I used to do that with music. I used to have all of it in my head back in the day. And I grew up in the cassette era. I had a few albums because I had a turntable when I was a little kid. And then I just went to cassettes because I got a Walkman, and, you know, I'm dating myself, obviously. So it was a little bit
cassettes,
smaller print.
It was smaller. The cassettes, they still had some stuff, and you had some cassettes that had more info than others, and a little more paper in there where you have to unfold it. Yeah. But it became a little harder to read, obviously, you know.
And then the CDs came along and it got a little bit bigger, and then everything.
Right.
And now you don't have anything.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Well, let me put a final pin in the Keith talk, and just did you ever think that, like, man, why didn't Keith ever, you know, do another solo gig? I mean, the Stones took a lot of time in between albums.
Well, you know, I mean, I mean, I always hoped to reboot that group. I always hoped that we would get back together again and play and stuff. When time goes on, and I mean, obviously his main and his main, I mean his main group, the Stones.
Yeah, yeah.
that's not a bad day job to have. So
yeah.
When that kind of rebooted and they kind of, I mean, it wasn't like they just kind of went on a slight hiatus where they just did their own things for a while, where Mick did whatever he was doing and Keith called us up and we started playing with him. And there was, they did what they did, the Steel Wheels tour in between the two Keith records. So the Stones were bound to do something. And I believe the Winos maybe helped inspire that in some ways,
Yeah.
Like, okay, we need to get back together and do that, do the band.
Right.
And the Stone, and hence the Stones. And they're the only ones, like, with truly, with the original lineups that remain from an era. I mean, they're like the group to still be doing it, like what, 50 or some odd years later, 60 years later, they're still playing. And I guess you got to think, okay, if you got some buddies and partners of yours that you've been playing music with for 50, 60 years, and the guys are still around, and you guys can play stadiums and stuff like that. And people still want to come and see you, and then you're introduced to a whole many generations again. Like when you go to a Stone show in recent history, well, when they were doing things like that, obviously, we're in the time we're in now. We can't even imagine that. But we know when we stopped life as we knew it a while back, they were playing to stadiums, and you would have audiences that had people, with age. The age group was what, 18, 19 years old to like in the 60s, 70s. I mean, that's about as vast of an age group going to see some music that you could get. So when you have a machine that's moving and working like that, you got, your bandmates are still around, Keith and Mick and Charlie Watts and Ron and the other guys that are playing with them, Darryl Jones and Chuck Leavell and those guys, Carl Denson. When you got something going like that, I mean, you're going to keep doing it. Why not? I mean, that's what you do.
Oh, yeah,
you're blessed to be able to play music. I mean, I understand, and that takes a lot out of you. That travel,
right? Yeah,
and what goes into it. So to take time off from that and say, "Oh, I'm going to reboot my other band, the X-Pensive Winos," that's somewhat of an undertaking. I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
Right, and also his age. I mean,
I mean, you can't be when you get off the tour with the Stones, you want to rest for a while, maybe, probably. And he, I mean, like he goes and he regroups and hangs out. He's probably goes to the islands or somewhere, and
he definitely goes to the island
and chill out or wherever he wants to go and take a break. I mean, hey, we're still alive. Hopefully we can still do it one day. I don't know, but
it would be cool. It would be cool.
You can only hope. I heard rumors of a possible retooling or repackaging of the Main Offender thing. That was the second record that we did. It didn't get the acclaim that Talk Is Cheap got, but I thought it was a great record. And that tour, the tours we did a European tour and we did a tour in the States behind that record. And I heard they were possibly thinking of including some of the live performances from that last tour that we did in Europe that included songs like the Winos versions of Gimme Shelter and stuff like that. So that's just a little birdie told me some stuff like that. It's a possibility.
All right. Well, Talk Is Cheap already got that kind of
for real
redo that reissue thing. So like everybody does reissue. So so that's great. I mean, you get to hear stuff you never thought you'd. I mean, like one of the coolest reissue things I've seen recently was the Replacements reissued one of their albums, and they did a whole studio session with Tom Waits.
Oh wow!
It was like so bizarre. Like I never thought those two two people, you know, those two groups even
met
together.
That's an odd matchup.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But it's actually kind of fun if you ever have a chance to listen to it. But
that's funny. I'd like to check that. You know, Tom Waits is a pretty cool guy. I met Tom Waits through Keith. Tom's a good friend of Keith's.
He seems like a fun guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine you've met so many people just, you know, from your own stuff, but I mean, you know, just from your family connection is big. I mean, you guys are royalty.
Being from New Orleans first is like, you know, when you tell people in the music world, you know, where you're from, I'm from New Orleans. That's kind of a, you know, oh, wow, you know, that's an interesting icebreaker right there, being from New Orleans. And then when your last name's Neville, that's like, okay, wow, who is this guy? You know, where do you fit into that family and stuff like that? So, you know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And you end up, you know, people, some doors will maybe open up for you a little bit, but if you got a little talent to go along with it and you can play and I've been in the presence of a lot of different folks, you know, in the entertainment world, in the music world. So I'm fortunate for that. You know?
Well, I just, you know, while we're talking about your family, I just want to extend my condolences about your uncles Art and Charles. I got to see them perform. They opened for Huey Lewis. That was like my first concert.
Yeah.
No, and
that was one of your first concerts?
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? I remember when they were opening up for Huey Lewis and them. I maybe went to a couple of those shows. I was out on the road. That was probably, what years were that? That was like
84, 85, I believe.
That was mid 80s, 84, 85, 86, around that time. During that time, I was playing with Bonnie Raitt. I remember being somewhere and they were performing with Huey Lewis and I showed up for a couple times.
That's pretty
places,
cool.
And it was pretty cool. That was a fun tour.
Yeah, it's ever since then. And then, like, you know, I think I checked out the Treacherous compilation from the library. Like, I kept checking it out. 4 cassettes, and I kept listening, and I just the music, and I got to go to New Orleans in 2009. I'm coming back in June for my birthday because I needed to do something for my birthday.
Wow.
Here. I'm turning.
What part of June? Early June?
Near the end.
Oh, near the end. Okay. Because I was going to say, if you were coming early June, there'll be a performance by someone that I think I'm affiliated with.
I'll have to. I'm definitely going to try to check out some music.
All right.
Because I haven't been back in 12 years, and it. I say this to everybody I talk to because I just talked to John Boutte recently.
Okay. Yeah. I love John. John's a great singer, great guy.
John's a really cool guy.
He's also from an amazing family, musical family too.
Exactly. Yeah. I was sad to hear about his sister's condition. I didn't realize.
Yeah. I'm aware of that too. Yeah.
But New Orleans is when I went there, I've never gone anywhere that when I got there, I was like, oh my God, this is home.
Yeah, it's a cool place, man. It's a very cool place.
I know it's got its problems. I mean,
everywhere's got some problems.
I live in Chicago, so I mean, you know.
Well, yeah, Chicago's got some serious problems. You know, I mean, everywhere's got some problems, and everywhere's got, you know, stuff that, you know, you hate to acknowledge, but it's all going on. You know, you got
it's just, you know, it's that spirit. It's that spirit that feeling. It's the air. I mean, there's something.
Yeah, New Orleans has got it. There's something in the water, man. I don't know. It's that food, the music, the people are pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you ever is going on like when you used to go on the road, when you come back, is that the kind of the special part about living in New Orleans is that you get to go away and kind of get to not forget it, but leave it for a bit, and then when you come back, it's like, oh my God, this is, you know.
Yeah, you come back home. No, it's absolutely, yes.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah, we've been feeling that my whole life, you know. And I lived in other places. I've lived in California. I lived in New York, and there's no place like New Orleans. I mean, I ended up moving back to New Orleans, and you know, and when I do go on the road and I come back home, you know, you feel that thing, that special thing about this place that, you know, oh yeah, okay, I'm back home. I love this.
Yeah.
And there's something about the people and the food, man, and the music and the sounds of the streets of New Orleans that it's unlike anywhere else on the planet, you know.
That's for sure. And I feel like I didn't I went when I was married and we had our kid who was what, 14? No, God, he was 18. Sorry. He's 30 now.
Oh.
And so I was a little bit limited in where I was going, because my ex kind of had a bit of an itinerary. So we did, like, you know, the cemetery tours and stuff. But he and I just wanted to kind of just roll through the neighborhoods and just see what was happening.
Yeah, that's kind of usually the best. That sometimes a lot of people come down to New Orleans and they get the wrong memo about what to do.
Yeah.
And you probably had the right idea. This, you know, I mean, no, the cemeteries and all that stuff, that's cool stuff to see. And they have a history and the stories about them and stuff like that. And all of that stuff's cool to see. But a lot of times people get kind of hoodwinked and go and see the wrong part of New Orleans, like to go to there's things in the French Quarters to see.
Right.
But don't get stuck down there. That's not, I mean, that is New Orleans, but it's not. New Orleans has a whole lot more to offer than just
that's
that.
The same
a lot of
way
people get stuck down there and they don't see anything else.
Yeah.
But it's all about the neighborhoods and going to some other places in the city.
I mean, what I wouldn't give, I've thought about moving down there, but what I wouldn't give, and there's no chance of it happening in June. But what I wouldn't give to see some Indians, man.
That's a beautiful thing. See, and that's a lot of something that people, if they don't know about that or they don't do the research, they might miss that. If you come down here doing the Mardi Gras when things are somewhat back to normal, you get to see that stuff.
Yeah, because that's there's that show Treme. I just finished watching that for like the 5th time. And for me, my money, that's my favorite show of all time.
You know, and they did a very good job of portraying our city. It's a lot of that show was very accurate.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff, and a lot of times you get when someone is trying to show a picture or a story of New Orleans. And sometimes it gets a little over exaggerated, certain aspects of New Orleans. And Treme was pretty close to pretty authentic. A lot of stuff they did. And I was fortunate and blessed to be on that show a couple times. Yeah. 2 or 3 times maybe. Yeah.
And your uncles and your dad were on one, although they were on the Washington D.C. episode.
Oh, right.
They were away. They were on tour, some sort of political thing on the episode I caught. But I think it's probably the most human series I've ever seen. I think it captures real people as close as possible.
Yeah, it did.
All of that stuff, man. Yeah. See Mac and Alan and all those guys that have gone now. It's like,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I do want to steer it back to Dumpstaphunk, and I apologize.
Let's get in it. Yeah.
It's just such a big deal, and I had your solo album on cassette as well as a kid. Well.
Oh, which one? The Ancestors one?
Yeah, Ancestors.
Yeah.
It's
a cool piece of music. Yeah,
it still has some good songs. I mean, the production's a little dated.
It's definitely dated. The production is definitely dated. When I listen to it, I'm like, oh wow, wish we'd have done this. But you know what? It was a good piece of music that we made. I'm happy that we did it.
Yeah, it's very early 90s.
It's kind of dated, but
yeah. But the songs are still good. And then you had that really cool song on the Pump Up the Volume soundtrack.
Oh yeah, Why Can't I Fall in Love?
Which I can't find really anywhere.
I can't find that either. You know what? I've never performed that song live. I've never played it. Never played it. No.
That's crazy because that song. It's like the spirit, how you made that song, how that song sounds. That was what I knew I mean, as much as I loved Ancestors, because I did love it. I think I wore that tape out. Why Can't I Fall in Love was like really that old school, soul.
Yeah. Wow. You know what's funny is the guy, like I didn't write that song,
right?
But you know who co-produced that song along with me was this guy Mark DeSisto, who was the second engineer on my Ancestors record.
Okay.
He did a lot of the engineering on the Ancestors. He and I produced that song.
Yeah, it's
Why Can't I Fall in Love? And it was me and it was you know who played bass on that was Randy Jackson. Randy from American Idol fame. Randy played bass on that song. I remember that about it, and that's the little bit of trivia there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I bet you didn't know that, right?
No. I honestly, I didn't know who Randy Jackson was until American Idol.
Well, you know, Randy's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, he's from down there. See, and I had heard about him back in the days, and our paths had crossed a few times. And then he started doing some music. He started playing with Noward and Michael Walden, I believe, in the Bay Area, and with Journey, among others.
Oh yeah.
He did a lot of stuff with Whitney Houston and
I mean, I know about this now. Like
and then all right. Enough about Randy. Randy's got it made. Let's talk about Dumpstaphunk.
Let's talk about Dumpstaphunk. Forget Randy Jackson. All right. So the new album. I mean, you've put out 4 actual full albums, right?
Right.
An EP or something.
Yeah, the first one was called an EP, but
it was sort of an album.
It was an album. What I would just say is that first piece of music we put out. I don't remember how many songs it had on it. It maybe 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only called an EP because that's what they were calling shorter, like less songs on the record instead of putting 10, 11 songs.
Right.
But I would like to say that first one was a full length. It was just, we just didn't have any. Sometimes when you make a long, a lengthy record with a lot of songs, and you have songs that are called filler, and you have maybe 5 or 6 great songs or good songs, and the rest of it is okay. Well, that one, we had 5 or 6 amazing songs, and that was the whole album. So maybe the EP should have meant every piece is a beautiful thing. Every piece of music is good. So that's, whatever. But yeah, that was the first one. And this and then we did Everybody Wants Some, and we did Dirty Word. And now we have Where Do We Go From Here? And Where Do We Go From Here? It's about 10 or so songs, 10 or 11 tracks. And
sorry. You froze like a minute ago.
I froze? So where'd I leave off?
The last part you left off on was 5 or 6 great tracks, basically, and then you froze.
Okay, yeah. So you do something called an EP, which I don't know why they call it an EP, but you could say that, okay, I got 5 songs and every one of them is really good, and there's no filler. So we're gonna call it an EP because it has less content, but the quality is amazing. So I felt like that was a full length record at the time.
So you've done the albums now, and take a little bit of time in between. Obviously you probably worked on other things in between.
We
album. We
have other stuff that we do, and we're a road group. We make our living playing on tour. So that's where we're at most of the time. And then we have side projects that we might get involved in here and there. But Where Do We Go From Here actually was in the making for 3 or 4 years. And we would record a few songs here and there, and then we go back on tour, and then we record a few songs until we really realize, okay, we have a bunch of songs and we have stuff that we need to finish. So let's finish this stuff. And it was literally right before the pandemic and all hell broke loose. We had started working on finishing this record. And we had pretty much put the finishing touches on completions of the completing the songs, so to speak.
Yeah.
And by the time we got locked down with the pandemic, we realized, okay, we got some friends, mascot records, that wanted to put our record out. So we said, okay, let's do whatever tweaking we need to do now that we have some time, and we're not going anywhere. We're not going on the road. So we did all the finishing that we had to do to put this record out. The funny thing was, and then the whole idea of where do we go from here took on a whole new meaning.
Right.
You know, in the pandemic, and watching, our country and the world go through what we were going through, and watching, around us, and watching some of the injustices and things like that, and the systemic racism that's kind of, rears its ugly head every so often, and you're reminded about stuff like that. And so, I mean, that just became more apparent that, okay, where do we go from here is going to mean a hell of a lot more by the time this record comes out. And it was kind of ironic, it wasn't like intentional,
Well, it seemed, what I thought it was, honestly, and I was able to listen to it a couple of times so far. And first off, I do dig it a lot. When I was growing up, my parents listened to a whole lot of stuff, and what it reminded me of is they would play. My dad especially was into Little Feat, and he was into George Benson. And there were times where it's obvious. I'm not saying it sounds like those guys. What I'm saying is the feel is like how I remember being a kid, and we wouldn't have the TV on. We'd have the stereo on. We'd play board games or whatever. And, we'd put on like that live Little Feat album, with the tomato.
Right.
Or George Benson's, where On Broadway was on. And it had that kind of real fresh, just, I don't know how to word it. It's just that cool musician vibe where it's like, people are really playing, and it's loose, and but it's loose and it's tight.
Right. Okay.
Hardest thing to describe. I think some people will know what I mean. Because obviously the players know, but you have to be so good that you can be loose when you're playing.
That's a great compliment. Thank you very much. I mean, that's kind of what we hope we hope that people get that, and it's not like we're intentionally doing something and saying, okay, dig this, but it just it's a natural, naturally evolves into, our influences. And that's why maybe you're hearing somewhat of a mixture of the things that have influenced all of us. And we have a little rock, a little funky, gospel-y feeling thing. We got some things that are very soulful. We got some things that are more musical, and like we got a couple of instrumentals on there, and you can hear many influences. And that's what I hear with what you're saying. It doesn't sound like one thing, but it sounds like many things kind of mixed in there. But it's focused. It's focused, and it's not all over the place. But you do hear little splashes of different influences coming out, and I like the fact that I feel like we own it. So we've made we've taken a lot of things and we've made it into our own thing. Yeah, well, and it doesn't feel like an album. You know how sometimes you can listen to an album and you can tell that they recorded it in batches. Some songs start sounding like they weren't really made at the same time, but your album does. That's great. Like that, and I think it's a perfect. I think it from your other stuff too. I think Dumpstaphunk is a perfect encapsulation of New Orleans itself. I mean, it's a cliche. I know it's a cliche, and I apologize for using it. No, that's all right. No, the gumbo. The gumbo. You said it. That's it. The gumbo. Yeah. And that's the signature dish of New Orleans cuisine is gumbo. Yeah. And it's the gumbo like my mom and my grandmother used to make. It wasn't like chicken sausage gumbo or seafood gumbo. The gumbo I ate as a kid had everything in it. It had chicken, sausage, seafood, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind
That's
of
the
what we
kind
try
I
to
like.
do. Yeah,
That's the kind I like anyways. But
there you go.
I gotta tell you, just as an aside, my restaurant list is insane from when I go down there.
All right.
I don't even know how. I'm not going to be able to tackle what I put down on.
All right.
It's huge. And one thing I know I missed out on was because it's only one time a year really is the gumbo herbs at Dookie Chase.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's some real
That's
deal
got to
gumbo.
be good. That's got to be good, man. Yeah. I'm starting to think about that. Anyway, so with Dumpstaphunk though, you guys, what's interesting about you guys is that you're so widely, because of your styles, you're so widely accepted. Like you're in a, you can play on those jam band, circuits,
yeah,
too, which is really interesting. But then you're also right there with, the festivals down in New Orleans, and because your music is so wide ranging, touring must be a blessing. And I feel terrible that so many of you guys can't tour right now.
Yeah, no, we miss it. We miss it. Hopefully,
we'll
be doing it again soon.
It's going to come back, but that's
sooner than later.
The thing, right? That's it's a touring beast, right?
That's what we do. I mean, that's our heartbeat. Is to be out there playing that music every night. To different audiences. And spreading that word out there. Then bringing that New Orleans. And our brand of New Orleans funk mixed with all the other influences, bringing that to the world.
Yeah,
we really look forward to doing that again soon, hopefully.
Yeah, what's been the biggest change in the band since it started? You've changed your drummer. That's been about the only person besides.
We've changed the drum seat a few times, but now we have horns all the time now.
Right,
we have a couple of horns all the time. Yeah, we have a guy named Alex Wasili plays trombone.
Right.
And along with him is we had our friend Ryan. Ryan neither was playing trumpet, and Ryan, obviously the pandemic has changed some dynamics about certain things. Yeah. And we've been using a couple of different people that have been filling in on the trumpet chair. Yeah. And so now we have Alex and this guy Ashlyn Parker have been playing the horns. Nice. And that's they've been consistent with that.
Yeah, but except for really the drums, your lineup's been pretty secure.
The other guys, the core members have been
in the band.
Myself, Tony Hall, Nick Daniels III, and Ivan Neville. And our drummer right now is Devin Trustclair, who's an amazing addition. Yeah.
He played on the album, right?
Yeah, he's on the album, yeah.
Very, very good drummer. And man, your cousin can wail.
Yeah, Ian's amazing on some guitar. Yeah,
he is. Some of those licks, man. I was like, man, everybody's a kid to me now because
Oh no, well he's you could say that he's
anybody younger than me as a kid.
He's not the youngest in the group, but he's the kid amongst the core guys.
How old was he when he joined? When you got him?
I don't know. The band's been starting. The Dumpster's been. We kind of played our first show around 17 or so years ago, so he was pretty young. He was he was pretty young, like barely over 20 or something, 22.
See, but that's how you guys, that's how everybody does it down there, though. Is it weird to have a Neville not be in the music business?
No, there's some that are not in the music, but it's kind of a given to some degree. Yeah.
And but then that's dog tag. No, that's a legacy. And
you just got, hopefully you can figure out a way not to feel the pressure about it and just do your own thing.
Yeah.
And try to just,
that's gotta be the hardest part.
Work on it as best you can and create your own little aisle, little lane,
Yeah. You've got kids, right?
Yeah, I got an older daughter and a young son. Yeah.
Okay. Are they getting into it?
Well, my daughter's 30, and she's musically inclined, but she hasn't chosen that path. No. and my son is definitely musically inclined, and he's 7, so we don't know what he's gonna do. But he likes sports. He likes sports. He likes all that kind of stuff. He collects football trading cards and stuff like that. And he is just
7's pretty
likes the Minecraft. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, Minecraft.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Boy, I tell you, you know, having a 30-year-old too. It's like I couldn't imagine having another one, man. So
yeah, it's fun. It's a fun ride. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the ride right now. So yeah.
Well, let me. I definitely want to get back to Dumpstaphunk, but you know, we keep talking about the pandemic, and I didn't realize until I started rereading stuff about you. I didn't realize you had COVID last year.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah,
it took you out.
Yeah, I had it. It was a nice little dose of it, man. I had it it lasted about maybe 5 or 6 weeks. About 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
And it was some scary little ride, man. Because I knew when I first started feeling the symptoms, I knew I had it.
Right.
But I couldn't get tested. I tried. I got turned down twice to get tested.
Well, you got it early on when nothing was being done, right?
Well, I got it. I started having symptoms March the 15th of last year.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, nothing was in place.
Nothing was in place. Well, they did start having the testing. Like the testing was there, but it wasn't available to everyone.
Right. Exactly.
They were only testing people that had obvious symptoms or if you were very old. So I got turned down twice to get tested, and I finally did get tested. But you were hearing different sources were saying, "Oh, if you want to test, you can get a test." That was bull because I got turned down twice, and luckily I didn't have serious underlying conditions, and I'm in pretty good shape for my age, and I did develop double pneumonia in both lungs. Wow. And I had fever. I had fever and no appetite for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I lost probably 20 pounds or something like that. And it was pretty gnarly, man. And I started getting the breathing came kind of later, where I kind of had weird breathing trouble taking deep breaths and stuff like that. The shortness of breath, I experienced all of that stuff. And I got tested about a week and a half into it. I finally got tested, and then I got the results a week after that. Right. So I had to just, and the doctors that I was talking to told me to assume that you have it. And that's what I did. I assumed I had it, and I just stayed my behind in the back room of the house, and I didn't go out and try to, do anything stupid or. And then when I finally got the results back, I had tested positive.
Yeah.
And by that time, actually, I finally got the results around the first week of April, around April 3rd or something like that. April 2nd, April 3rd. And and then I just started, I was reading up on how to self-treat your lungs. Because nobody in the medical field could tell me exactly what to do. No one knew what to do. So I started exercising, breathing exercises. I started taking walks when I had the strength to do that. And gradually I started feeling better.
Yeah. You had to get oxygen at home.
I had an oxygen machine at my house that a friend linked me up with someone who got me an oxygen machine. So otherwise I would have been in the hospital doing that, which would maybe not turned out, and maybe it wouldn't have turned out the way it did. Who knows? Yeah. I would have ended up in the hospital because they don't know what to do with you. At that time, they had no idea what to do.
Right. It took a while for them to even develop. Like I remember, I think one of the first things that they figured out was putting people on their sides somehow.
Right. Putting you on your side. That's what some doctors told me. You don't just lay there because it sits in your lungs.
Right.
It settles in there. So I was laying on my side, and then when I was able to, and I would be on the oxygen as well, but then I would take walks. I was singing every day as often as I could, and that was helping me exercise my lungs, and that probably helped me immensely. So I got through it. And Yeah, I finally tested. I tested negative in May, first week of May.
Thank you.
And I tested. The test came back negative. And I have since then, because I had a few jobs which required me to be tested. I've been tested probably 20 times.
Okay. So you got
all negative. All negative.
Hopefully you got those antibodies and
well, I had the antibodies as recent as October of last year. That's the last time I had an antibodies test. But I have been vaccinated as well.
Well, that's good too. And your family's okay too, because I know that they got it, but they didn't have the awfulness that you had, right?
Well, okay. I don't know who else had it.
No, your immediate family. Your immediate.
Oh yeah. In this house, in my house. Oh yeah. We had it. Yeah. I spread it around. I spread it around a little bit.
Yeah, but they didn't get it as bad as you did.
Not and we had. I mean, as a matter of fact, we had different versions of it too.
Yeah.
It was really weird. It's a weird thing. I got to tell you, it attacks you where it can.
I am thankful it didn't happen to me. Through my sister who works with special needs people, a client of hers that she was really close to, he died of it. And it all seems so unnecessary, people would have still died if it had been taken care of right, but if it had been taken care of right, it wouldn't have happened the way it did.
Well, no, it became some stupid political thing instead of a health issue. And I mean, I don't want to get into all of that, but I mean, that's just like that wasn't very smart, to take something that's taking people's lives and to turn it into some sort of two-sided argument. No, it's not. It's just like it reminds me of something like, I guess I would compare it to, off the top of my head. Okay. Drug addiction. Drug addiction doesn't care who you are, right? Black, white, brown, yellow. It's not a color thing. It's not a black thing. It's a death thing. It will kill you if it gets the best of you. And that's what this disease, this illness came around, and it was just trying to take people out. It don't care who you are, where you're from. It didn't care who you voted for. It didn't care what you believe in religiously or anything like that. It's just gonna if your body's susceptible to it and you're vulnerable, it might kill your behind. And that's what really was unfortunate, that it became some sort of debate. Like, I'm going to wear the mask or I'm not going to wear the mask, depending on where I live or what political affiliation I have. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, and we're still in this in a way because I don't think we're there yet, but it feels like we're close to plateauing with people getting vaccination.
Yeah.
And it's like we're not even half the way through the population yet.
No, we're not. And and it's like everybody's chomping at the bit to get back together. And I understand, because I want to go out and play music.
Everybody does.
I want to go out and play music. But there's going to be people that are going to be still scared to go and hang out in a music club with 500 or 1,000 other people shoulder to shoulder without masks.
Right.
There's going to be people that are going to be scared to do that. So,
especially if it's like half the country hasn't bothered to get the vaccine.
Well, and there's a lot of people that wants to wait. I'm going to wait and get it. Okay, to each his own. Live and let live. I'm just going to say that. So
yeah. Let me. Crap! I had something. Oh no, I know what I was going to ask you. So on where do we go from here? You were talking about this earlier, but there's a song called Justice. If you could talk a little bit about that song, how that came about, and the meaning behind what the song's about.
Yeah, that song came about like 4 years ago or so. We were writing, we were looking around us and hearing and seeing what was going on, and we have some of the unfortunate things that were going on, and people of color, Black brothers and whatnot, were getting killed by police officers. And, a lot of that stuff just really started getting on, it's starts bothering you, and you're like, damn, when's this gonna stop? And me growing up in the 60s and 70s, I saw civil unrest back then, and I saw racial injustices and things of that nature growing up. And then when you see it rear its ugly head, years and years have gone by, and this stuff still exists to the degree that it does. It's pretty frightening. And then we got a system that's broken a bit, and I mean, you got to kind of go in there and kind of fix it somehow, and we've got a lot of work to do, but it inspired us to write the song Justice, and then we turn around and some years pass by, and then you got the same stuff happening on a polarizing level, even more in your face, and then when George Floyd, when that thing happened, when that guy lost his life the way he did, and everybody in the world saw it. Yeah. Wow. So we were thinking about, man, Justice, that song, and let's do a reboot of that song. And there was a verse that Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 wrote a verse for it. Mm-hmm. Let's get that, incorporate that in, and then do a remix of it, and let's re-energize and reboot that song, because it needs to be heard still.
Yeah.
And these things are still happening, and unfortunately they are still happening. And let's talk about it. If you ask me my name, I'll tell you the same. Justice. I mean, it could be me.
Yeah.
So we're glad we got to put that and include that in this piece of music in the album. And where do we go from here? And we got to reboot that song. Hopefully that, we can work on that problem, and that doesn't keep happening the way it's been happening. I mean, it's going to take some work,
Yeah, I it's amazing. I mean, I grew up right on the edge of Chicago on the south side. So I always was familiar with, I guess I was, as a white guy, I was a little luckier than most white people my age, even, that I grew up in a mixed area. So I knew about a lot of stuff, I've learned more as I've grown up. And hell, there was something, I mean, the recent thing where the military kid was pulled over in, I think, Virginia, because he had something hanging from his rear view mirror, and, they couldn't see his license plate. And I didn't realize until that case that some states, it's technically illegal to have like a deodorizer hanging off your rear view mirror. And
I never heard of that. I never heard of that.
I'm like, I'm like, that is messed up.
Yeah.
But that's just, but the thing is, what I was getting at is that I just saw this thing last night where this dude broke down in under 2 minutes why racism is an actual constructed thing. And he was basically saying, let's look at capitalism, communism.
I saw that where he talked about prejudice, and a lot of people mistake prejudice for racism.
Right.
And that's different. And yes.
Yeah, and basically how racism is a constructed way of doing things.
It's systemic. It's part of the system. It's the way it's a broken system.
I can't believe somebody broke it down in under 2 minutes. That, like, you could literally show it to anybody and have that make sense.
I saw that piece.
Yeah. It was amazing. And it's not like I didn't know that. It's just that it was, I guess in my head, it's all so complicated, and this guy just went ahead and made it uncomplicated.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. And I as a 50-year-old guy, white guy, I admit I get tense when I've gotten pulled over, by the police. And last time I got pulled over by a black police officer, and I was like, I immediately go to just, yes, sir, no, sir.
Yeah.
But I never, even though I have the fear of being approached by the police, I don't ever have the fear that this could go south really fast.
Right.
Which I can't even imagine living with, quite frankly.
That's bad, man. That's bad. That's a bad circumstance, man. Bad situation.
Do you tend to want, like with Justice, do you tend to want to get into social political things more, or is that like kind of a rarity for you?
We speak a little bit here and there in songs. We've said stuff in songs before, and it's not even like we're trying to be preaching or anything like that. But sometimes when you have the ability or you have the platform to say something, and in a song, you can say it in a maybe unobtrusive way, where you're not forcing something on someone. But if they want to listen to the song and they're grooving, and then they hear some lyrics and say, "Oh, they're saying this." I mean, it's social commentary. You could say a few things if you want, and we're not trying to shove any information down anybody's throat or anything like that. But when you have an opportunity to say something, you might want to say something sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you're watching what's going on around you, you can't help but sometimes write about this shit. So
yeah. Let me. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do want to ask what I got. Oh, I got to see you perform on OZ's piano night, and that was.
Oh, you saw that? You know what? I didn't see that. Was that okay? Was that pretty good?
Yeah. You did a really good, cool version of Washable Ink, which I loved.
And I thought that could have been much better on that, but
I liked it.
I'm very critical of. I thought it could have been much better on both of those tunes I did, but I'm glad you saw it and you liked it. Yeah.
Your voice has gotten a little bit. I used to, and I hope I'm not being negative in any way, but your singing voice has gotten a little smoother over the years. You used to have.
I got to tell all the smokers around, anybody listening, I had a very hoarse voice. Very raspy, which it added some character to my voice. We thought that I was known for being somewhat of a raspy voiced singer. Since I stopped smoking cigarettes in 2010, my voice has gotten extremely clearer and my range has gotten wider.
Yeah.
So
thank God you stopped smoking cigarettes.
Lungs do heal themselves if you have been smoking for quite a long time and you want your lungs to heal and not, you could stop smoking cigarettes and your lungs might heal themselves a little bit.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. I hadn't heard you perform live in a while. And so seeing that was a real treat. But are you guys planning on doing anything virtually or small outdoor shows at all in any way around New Orleans?
Well, we'll be doing something. We'll be playing this coming Sunday. Dumpstaphunk will be playing at Tipitina's, and we're doing two shows. It'll be limited capacity, very, very limited, because that place holds 700-800 people. There'll be 90 people in each show, and the second show will be live streamed.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna
on Tipitina's TV or nugs.net, some stuff like that.
Okay, I'll look it up.
And that will be happening. And also I will be doing something with Pres Hall this coming Saturday, Preservation Hall Jazz Band, and that'll be on some format somewhere. And I'll also be doing something in the near future with the Soul Rebels Brass Band.
Nice.
So that's what I got going on.
Excellent. Well, I think I'll pretty much leave it there. I do want to say that I've reached out to your father's people a couple of times to talk to him, because it would be a dream of mine to speak to him. And I'm waiting. Apparently your dad's writing some new music, so they just tell me we'll wait for him to get something done, and then we'll set something up. And I gotta say that to have spoken to both of you guys would be a true honor. It's an honor talking to you, because
my pleasure, man.
Man, it's just I don't even know how to put it into words, honestly. This really means a lot.
Thank you.
I'm really grateful that you were able to do this, and I'm so glad you're good, you're healthy, and that you got the new album out. Dumpstaphunk, Where Do We Go From Here is now out. Go buy it if wherever you can. Try not to stream it. They don't get much money from that.
Well, try to buy it,
yeah. Definitely buy it. Well, Ivan, thank you again for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I really wish you the best, and you have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. Thank you.
Take care.
A lot.
All right,
Thanks.
bye.
All right.